Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video on my channel. This video is about Bill and Melinda Gates, and probably some of you will think that's a bit late because they announced their divorce nearly 3 months ago. That was the beginning of May. But just in the context of something else, I just found this quite interesting. So I just want to take a brief look at their relationship and the relationship dynamic, and looking at indicators for breakup. I don't want to go into their involvement, in the sector of politics or health or anything. I just really want to look at their relationship and how they interact with each other. So I've put up both of their charts. This is Melinda on the left and Bill on the right. Yeah. So first thing we see, it's interesting that Bill has absolutely no earth in his chart. Melinda has no air. So they can find their missing energies in their partner, and can connect to these energies and get more familiar with these energies in their relationship. Obviously, we don't have a birth time. We don't have Melinda's birth time, but I think we can safely say that her moon is in Scorpio. It's got to be in Scorpio, right? I mean, look at the moon here. This is the 12 p.m. noon chart, so the moon is exactly between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Funnily enough, there was almost exactly the same for Jennifer Lopez, right? And again with the Leo sun. Oh my god. So yeah, Bill's a Scorpio, and that moon, I think, is got to be in Scorpio. When you see the whole demeanor and behavior, and the way they interact, and the way she talks, and what she's talked about, it's pretty clear. So but obviously we can't go with an exact birth time here, so we just try to work around that, and we look at what we can say for sure. Yeah, so Melinda's moon changes sign around 1 p.m. on that day. So it's not too far-fetched, I believe, to say that the moon is quite likely in Scorpio, with a morning birth or something. All right, so let's dive into this a little bit. And we just look at the synastry. Some people, or most people probably, prefer to put the two chart wheels together and have one partner in the inner wheel and the other partner in the outer wheel. So this will look like this. Yeah. For me, it's, for some reason, it's not so. The way my mind works, or the analytical part of my mind works, or the visual part as well. For some reason, I always, when I analyze relationship charts, I don't really look at the chart in this graph. Like, I don't put up the chart like this. I like them side by side. So I hope that's good enough for you. I just like to have it's just, for some reason, it's easier for my mind to just put it together and see the aspects and see the placements and everything, right? So we can have a look at the synastry in whichever setting you prefer. And there's a couple really good aspects here, in terms of attraction, in terms of compatibility. So not it's not surprising, you know, that they have been married for a whopping 27 years. Okay, so for example, we have a Sun trine Saturn. We have Sun square Saturn as well. So two Sun Saturn aspects. So like here, Melinda's Saturn is trine Bill's Sun, and Melinda's Sun is square Bill's Saturn in Scorpio. Or maybe I should put it in that way. Maybe that's a bit easier to see, right? Because you can see the aspects. So you can see the Sun here and the square. So this chart doesn't show any aspects. It'll make it quite difficult to see what's going on. Too many lines and everything. And also this is a simplified version of the software that I've installed. So it's just easier for me that way. Just less is more. Yeah, so we got this square, and we also got Sun Saturn trine. So Sun Saturn aspects, I think I said this in the Benefer video as well. They're really really huge indicators for long-term relationships. Sun Venus as well, Sun Moon obviously, in all shapes or forms. So it doesn't matter if this is a square or a trine or a sextile. Obviously a trine feels quite different than a square, but still a Sun Saturn square is still a strong attracting factor. It's just needs a bit more work, but there is still the feeling there that this is something really long and stable. Obviously Melinda's Sun is also square Bill's Venus here in 20 degrees of Scorpio, and that's quite strong. And the other way around is also Melinda's Venus trine Bill's Sun. So we've got Sun Venus square, Sun Venus trine, and the same for Sun Saturn. So that I'm really not surprised that this has lasted as long as it did. And obviously they're not done with their business relationships. They will still continue their business relationship, and obviously they are parents to 3 kids, and they're not dropping all of that, and the business relations and everything, or friendship or whatever. Yeah, but that's pretty strong. So Sun Saturn, Sun Venus, like a double whammy there, double whopper. For long-term involvement. That is really quite amazing. We also have Sun conjunct Jupiter here, Pluto as well. That's quite strong for attraction, like kind of compelling kind of energy. And Venus Neptune conjunction, also, yeah, a bit of romance. And we got a Mars square, which is quite interesting. Mars square from Cancer to Libra. So there may be fights. It's not like everything runs completely smoothly. Venus is involved here as well. Venus Mars. Well, that is obviously good for attraction and, you know, the erotic sexual side of relationship. But Mars is assertiveness as well. It's like, this is my will. This is how I go about it. So there's a friction there. So there's probably a lot of discussion involved. Mars is also squaring Mercury, Bill's Mercury and Melinda's Mars. So there's probably a lot of discussion and maybe some quarreling, and until you come to an agreement. So 2 people maybe wanting the same, but wanting to go about it in different ways. Yeah, different kind of strategies. Right, but it's still is pretty strong what's going on here between the two. I want to take a quick look at the relationship chart. Yeah, so this is it for the 23rd of March 1960. We've got an Aries Sun square Jupiter. Um, that is fantastic for a business partnership, because these two signs are really amongst the most ambitious in the zodiac. Aries and Capricorn are, and that's really Jupiter is a planet of that symbolizes success and expansion and just really wanting to grow, wanting to put a lot of energy into building a solid foundation here in Capricorn, and that's very that looks very business like to me on some level. um I think that side must have been a strong motivator to just keep the relationship, to just put in the effort and help it grow and really decide like we want to do this. And they did meet at the company where Bill was working. I like when I think when she joined the company as like in her mid 20s or something, and that's when they first met, and so that it was probably more of a business setting in that way, but it worked. So obviously I think the feeling that there is something really good that could come out of this connection if we keep going, if we keep putting everything into it, and if we are very, it's all about stamina and perseverance, and just a lot of willpower as well. So that seems to have worked out well. Um, at the same time, I don't want to go into lots of aspects. There's not that many, and obviously we don't have an ascendant. We don't have any house casts because I don't because we don't have the exact birth time for Melinda's chart, but we can see Venus is opposite Pluto. Hoo hoo hoo. Venus in Pisces there. Um, that could indicate, secrets being kept, maybe especially with this retrograde Mercury in Pisces as well, moving towards Venus, only wanting to talk about the pretty things or the positive things, and maybe being a bit scared, um, scared of pointing out what is not so nice or a bit daunting. Maybe things being swept under the carpet. Here with Venus and Pisces, and Mercury potentially, um, and this Pluto tension there. So, and in that context, I find it interesting that apparently Melinda was thinking about getting a divorce, or she starts speaking to lawyers. Think about in 2019 when I think at the time Bill's connection to Epstein, who was convicted of sex trafficking or that sort of thing. When that happened, and that what she didn't really like that. She didn't like that at all. She didn't like. She wasn't happy about his connection with him, and so apparently at the time she started to look at options to possibly end this relationship, or that was when it started. But the interesting thing is when we look at constellations for separation, um, it's a little more difficult if you don't have the exact birth time, but you can still see some major transits to planets. And so of course we don't have the exact placement of the moon, but I figured it out. The moon is depending on Melinda's birth time, the moon is between 4.5 and 11.5 degrees of Aquarius. So it is right in the middle here at 8 degrees, because we have a 12 noon chart. So that means that early this year, since the beginning of this year, Saturn has moved over the moon. Yeah, Saturn has moved across the moon. So has Jupiter. And at the same time, Uranus and Taurus has also squared the moon, has been squaring the moon for a while. So depending where it is now, the moon is going to get another square. and this is almost now it's a bit further away. I think Saturn is now about like 10 degrees. So yeah, so it's not going to go back all the way to 4 or 5, but think about it's going back to 7. So even with the moon at 6, 7 degrees, that was still affected. So I think it's just this moon got trampled on by Saturn. So I think the moon probably is quite a dominant planet in the relationship chart. Maybe it's the ruler of the ascendant or the seventh, or um, something important. Or Saturn is one of the rulers of the angles. It looks like the moon Saturn, which is obviously the Cancer Capricorn axis, and that's an axis that is dominant in Bill's chart. Melinda also has a couple Cancer planets, so maybe that's a connection there. It looks like there's something to do with the moon. I mean, that was the end of their intimate connection, right? I mean, possibly we can speculate how intimate, this relationship has been throughout the period of the past 27 years, with the moon being placed in Aquarius, which is not really a very it's not soppy, it's not so overly romantic, but well, it could technically be. There may be a square. You can see there may be a square to Neptune. It's quite likely the moon is square Neptune, because this is already in the middle, where it could be. So even if it's 3 degrees to that side or that side, it's quite likely. So that means it's even more. There was maybe some sort of deception going on there that could no longer be kept inside, or just an honest admission, like this is no longer. Well, they said that they thought they were unable to. I think they said this in a statement they put out at the beginning of May, that they were no longer able to grow together. They found out they were no longer able to grow together as a couple, in as a married couple, an intimate relationship. So that's and Saturn is an indicator for an ending, something running its course, or just also just having to own up to the truth. So yeah, obviously I'd like to know Belinda's birth time. It's funny that this can't be found. Maybe it will at some point, but this looks quite obvious. So that is Saturn is the culprit here. Obviously, Saturn is not the culprit. It's just the indicator that now is the time. Saturn is father time. When Saturn shows up, wherever Saturn shows up, is signals that there is something is coming to an end. That like a door is closing, and so it was time to put an end to this now. So it's been going on for quite a while in the background. Also in the we have a Mars Uranus opposition here in the relationship chart, and that had been triggered by Jupiter as well. So yeah, and also probably something must have happened when Uranus hit that Sun, and that Sun Jupiter square. So that was obviously quite a long time ago already. But we know these things, they don't happen overnight, especially when Saturn is the big significator. Then it just means that this is just the final straw, or the chapter. Or it's I think Saturn can also be seen, because it's the rule of the 10th house, right? It's about the public space, so it's about making something public or official. It doesn't mean that moment, all of a sudden, that person or this couple in this case, they've all of a sudden come to the brilliant realization that actually the relationship isn't working anymore. So I think for a public statement, it's quite remarkable that Saturn shows this ending and this timing there. Right. So let me know what you think about this. Some of you may have analyzed this already because it's obviously quite an interesting case. Please leave me a like on this video, and a nice comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I'll see you very soon on the next video. Bye bye.